So once again, you're here for reporting basics today, and we have, like I said, our couple of panelists here. Before we get into the content, we always like to have our forward-looking statement, particularly because we have someone from the product team here today. So if there's any comments or information given about the product, about forward-looking features or capabilities that might be going into the platform, these are not promises or committed deadlines for when those products will potentially appear in the platform. And also, this session is always obviously being recorded, so those people who aren't able to make it. So please refrain from sharing any confidential information that your company would not like you to share on a recorded webinar. All right. So our agenda today, we have a power-packed agenda. We'll go through our introductions of our panel, and then we have some topics around legacy reporting, what is reporting, and then we'll talk a bit about the platform analytics that's coming into the platform, and then we'll have some time for Q&A. And I really appreciate it if you put the Q&A into the Q&A function in the webinar. That way we can keep track of the questions a little better. And also, if we don't get to all the questions during the webinar, I will post a blog with the answers to the questions so that we make sure that we have you covered. All right. So without any further delay, I think many of you know me by now. My name's Brita. I've been with ServiceNow for a little over 15 years now. And I've had multiple roles, including working out in the field with customers and partners like yourselves. And now I'm working full-time on the community with programming and our product hubs. And so, Rafael, would you like to go next?
Yeah, it's me. So I've been working with ServiceNow for the last 10 years, focus on GRC on last 5. I've been 2 times MVP. So that has given me the opportunity to learn and share my knowledge with this amazing community.
Excited to have you. And Mr. Kane?
Hi, I'm Dan Kane. I'm also from Minnesota, as Britta said there, and I am an outbound product manager for the analytics and reporting tools within the platform. So as Britta said, I'm product management, so I'll have some insight on what's coming, but primarily what my role is to put together a lot of the resources for customers to consume in mass around what's out there, what's available to you now, how to get the most value out of it, what are good practices and things of that sort. And I've been here for 12 years. Yeah.
You've been around for a while. So Dan's the man.
Yeah.
If you want to, if you have a feature enhancement or something like that too, he can, he likes to hear about what folks are looking for in the platform. All right. So before we get started, we always have our poll to see how people are feeling about the topic. Because obviously by the end, we want to do a poll and hope that you're feeling more confident. So we're kind of all over the place here. It looks like most folks are feeling average level of confidence. We got a few in the high. And I'll just let that run a little bit longer. We got a couple in the no confidence and a few in low. So we're kind of pretty much across the board here. But generally people feel like they're in the middle of the pack there.
Okay, so average confidence.
Yeah. All right. All right, well, we've got good participation on the poll, so we'll go ahead and stop that, and we will move on to our goal of the webinar. And Rafael, do you want to take it from here?
Yeah, I can take over. So the goal of this webinar, so reporting has been a hot topic within ServiceNow. The whole idea is try to understand how the reporting is being currently used. Try to get away from the spreadsheets. I know that everyone loves to take the content from the system because it's not you can't understand the concepts, or they don't have the permissions, or they don't have the knowledge to create the reports on ServiceNow. The purpose of this webinar is just to understand the basics. Okay, with this webinar, you should be able to create your own reports. You should be able to talk with your system administrator to get you the right permissions, so you can start to create your own reports and dashboards and share to the management. So this is going to be a process. First, we need to understand the basics. we will learn, and then the whole idea is just you need to spend time exploring, because if you don't practice, if you don't explore, you're not going to know how to create a report, because having the concept is one thing, having the practice is another thing. The whole idea of this webinar in the end of today's session is to go to your system administrator or create a personal developer instance and start to create your reports today. If we're talking about instant problem, just do something so you can assimilate the basics that we're going to provide today. Okay. We can move forward to the next slide, which
Brian
is
here. Here you
what
go.
is the reporting? So, what is the reporting? The concept of the reporting is simple, but can become a little bit complex. People sometimes they have a goal, okay? They know exactly what they want to show, but they don't know how, okay? Reporting sometimes is keep it simple and try to be smart enough, try to be precise, okay? Try to process the right information, the right insights to the right audience in the correct format, okay? There are a lot of ways. ServiceNow provides a lot of types. So the whole idea is to find the right information. If it's numbers, dates, list of records, a bar, a vertical bar, horizontal bar, or the count of something, and then try to be specific. Who is going to read this information? Because most of, like, I'll talk based on my experience, which is governance, risk, and compliance. The main problem usually is we try to do a lot with just one dashboard, and sometimes it's better to divide. If this dashboard is focused on management, let's focus on management. If this is focused on analyst, let's focus the information on the analyst. And when you find the right information and choose the intended audience, you're going to have the correct format and the correct dashboard to deliver to the intended audience, okay? And this sounds complex, but it's simple. All you need to do is go to the platform, okay? Type reports. If you don't see these options, I will tell you the reason why. But as a reports user, you have access to these functionalities: getting started, view, and create new. When you click on view and run, you're going to see the list of all the reports that you get access. When you click on new, create new, is going to create a new report, okay, using the report designer. And you were probably wondering, if you type on your instance that the report module does not show up, okay, the problem can be the permissions. If you don't have the report user assigned to one of your groups or assigned to your user, you don't have permission to get access to that module. So if you don't have access, please get in contact with the system admin of your instance, or just create your own PDI and assign the report user to yourself. We have several other roles available. Report group, okay, is kind of a manager. If I would just rename this, I would rename this to report manager. Report group gives you access to view all the reports and manage them, okay? And report admin gives you access to the administration sub-menu that we have on the reports to create filters and so on. Next slide, we will talk about what is the difference between, I type reports, I can't see it, okay? There were some slight changes. If you are an existing user, you should be able to get access to the classic module. So when you type reports, you're going to have the menu on your left. The problem is when you have a fresh new instance, okay? Or if the instance that you are is a Z-booted, the report module is not available. It's just platform analytics. And then we'll cover this topic later on this webinar. But our focus on the next couple of slides is to focus on the reports because the basics are the same. So it's the same mechanics. It's kind of the same menus. It's the same way to get access to the reports and to create them. So creating a report, we click on create new, and we're going to have this screen that you can see. On the report name, you type the name of the report that you want. The source type, it can be a table. Usually it's a table. You can pick up by a data source, but usually what the most common is table. You select table, and then you select the table that you want to query. So imagine that you want to know exactly how many instances we have on ServiceNow, and for example, you want the list of all the instances. So all you need to do is select source type equal table, and table is incident. And when you press run here, is going to display the list of the records. Because the type, yeah, can you just stop here? Because of the default type is a list. So when you and on this screen as well, you can set up the filters. So Britta, if you go forward on the next slide. On this slide, we explain how to set up a filter. You need to click on the tunnel, okay? And then you need to select the field. I selected the field created on last year. So now when I press run, it's going to give me the list of the records that were created last year. Okay, and this is all inside of the data menu. If we go to the next slide, which is the type, we can select the type of next slide. Another one.
All right, I'm trying here.
Yeah,
There
that's
we go.
one. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. The default type, report type is a list. So for example, I haven't done anything. I just simply press run and it retrieved the list of records. I have 67 records with no condition, as you can see on the image. We don't have any condition, but you can, at any time during the creation of the report, you can change the filter, okay? You can say created on today. You can say assign to me, and there are like several conditions that you can use. The default type, as I was saying, is a list, but as you can see on the image, we are able to select bars, pies and donuts, time series, multidimensional reports, pivot tables, scores, and so on. The most common in ServiceNow is the list of records, bars. Usually we use vertical bars. We use a lot of pie and donuts, and we use a lot of scores. Scores is just a report just displaying the number of records. Okay. If we go to the next slide, which we will talk about configure. Okay. So for example, on this image, you can see that this is a vertical bar. Okay. That's the type of the report. Why is grouping by category? If you can see, we have group by, assigned group, and then we have stack by category. So you can use the configure to organize all the data is going to get displayed. So you can group by a certain field or stack by a certain field. So it displays all the information in one report. In terms of styling, which is the next step when we click next, this is where we set up the colors, okay? In terms of the classic reporting and the platform analytics, the color scheme is the same. There is a lot of options. We have and we have the option to select a palette, and that palette can be most of the applications, they already come with a palette, so you can use an existing one, or you can create your own report using your own colors and do the styling. You can display data labels, change the size, change the title, add, if you want to have a legend, you can have a legend. If you can rename the axis. There is a lot of functionality that you can do under this menu. And this is the last one. This is where you press save, okay? And now is the time to say, because the report at the moment, it's only you can see the report that you have created, okay? If you want someone to take a look on the report, you need to click on share and specify or the person, or you can specify the role. You can schedule the delivery of this dashboard, or you can add this dashboard to, you can add this report to a dashboard. The most common is usually add to dashboard. We share the report against the role. So for example, everyone with ITIL should get access to the change request records or to the incidents. You can be specific on the rules, and then you can add to dashboard and create our own dashboard with a lot of reports, okay? And I think the next slide is going to be the demo. So let's take a look on the demo. So as you can see on this demo, I'm going to click on all, write reports, and I can see my options, okay? I click on view and run. It gives me the list of all the reports that I have. If I click create report, I type a name, open instance by state. Just keep in mind the way I'm doing the name, open instance by state, okay? I'm going to select instance table, type, okay? This is a list, as you can see. And then all you need to do, as you can see, I'm grouping by state. And this is a list. So it's going to give you the list of the records grouped by state. Okay. And I was talking about open instance. So active needs to be true. Okay. So all open instance have the active flag as true. And here we go. We have the report. This is if we want to do the styling, otherwise we press save and it's ready to be shared. Okay. And that's it, Britta, for the classic reporting. Now we are going to talk about platform analytics. I will hand
Yes.
over to you, Dan.
Well, let's do a quick poll here first and see if people are familiar with the platform analytics. Just so we know. Yeah, we got a few maybes in there.
So far, I'm actually encouraged by the responses here. So
Yes.
Yeah, definitely they got access to, they know about platform analytics because it's been a trendy topic, but probably they got access because they were migrated, because someone have upgraded their application. That might be a reason.
Yep.
and for those,
So
It's
okay.
here.
all right.
Yes. Wow. 49%.
Yeah, 100% participation there. So yeah, that's where we stand. So thank you everybody for
Wow.
Thank you.
responding.
Thank you. Yeah.
Mm.
Excellent. Good to see. I'm glad to see you. Thanks for so much response. And I'm glad to see that it's Right around half have had been exposed or at least some familiarity with platform analytics. And I just want to clarify that when we say platform analytics, we're talking about the new, I will call the new UI experience for dashboards and reporting. And so let's see here, and you're sharing, yeah, so the reports are about 49% did, and that's excellent to see. Said then 41%. I like that there were 4 that said maybe. That I think is my best, I think is my favorite response.
I always
And
like to
that
give one out.
and actually I kind of that's actually a very useful response because that's one of from a product perspective, for my team that creates the product. One of my main roles is to put visibility out there, and if there are 10% of the group here that is really not even sure whether they've seen it or not, then that's something that we can work on. So that's good to hear. Thank you. So what I wanted to do is spend a couple of minutes here talking about the platform analytics experience. And when we use that term, you hear it called, it's lots of different things, platform analytics experience. Prior to can't remember which release, Washington. Yeah, prior to Washington, so in Tokyo and Utah, it was Platform Analytics Workspace, which is really the same thing. What it is then is a roll up of all performance analytics and reporting capabilities into a new interface. The reason that we wanted, I like Rafael's presentation and demo talking about what was kind of the classic, or you'll hear us use the term legacy or core UI interface a lot. The reason it's important to go through that is because what you're actually doing on the back end, when I create a report, that actually is not changing. What's changing is more of the front end of of what the interface looks like. So one of the big things that I've seen, one of the big questions I've heard, and is that performance analytics going away? And no, it's not. It is not going away. What it's doing is being rolled under the umbrella of platform analytics. Just to make things really confusing, we have 2 things called PA. That's why we add the little E on the end of platform analytics experience a lot, because that represents this is the new UI, the new interface for dashboards. So the back end is all still the same. Platform performance analytics is now a subset, as we said. So if you can click onto the next. So all legacy reports and PA widgets become data visualizations. And I put those in quotes because that's the term you will see. So when we were, and I'll talk about the migration in just a moment, and all that content, reports, dashboards, widgets, they all get migrated to the new UI when you choose to run the Migration Center tool. So the new term is so components that don't have a like for like replacement. Let's say that you have a specific, very customized filter that's a very highly customized filter that your developers had to write code to create. We don't have a like for like replacement in the new UI. So what we do is we bring it over into the new dashboard, into the new UI using something we're calling compatibility mode. So compatibility mode means we're bringing the exact same object into the new dashboard, and we're just putting it into an iframe. We're just making basically a virtual element of it. So what you're seeing is the actual old UI or core UI element in your new dashboard. So, and the most important note there's at the very end. If you're not familiar with reading release notes, Washington, Washington, let's see, Vancouver, yeah, I gotta think of the name, Vancouver, Washington, Xanadu, Yokohama. So Washington, Xanadu, Yokohama, absolutely pay close attention to the release notes. Okay, we can go to the next question. One of the other, and why don't we go ahead and just fill in this here? So what are the common questions? We get lots of questions about just terminology. So so in the old or the legacy UI, when I set a report or a PA widget, they're all now called data visualizations. It's a saved data visualization. And you'll see why we combine them all into one in just a moment. What you used to have was the report designer. You also had a PA widget form. So you're actually creating your content, your report, or your performance analytics widget on a different screen, then saving it and refreshing the dashboard to see what it looks like. That's all going away. So it's all under one visualization designer, all on the same screen, all on the same screen that you see the output. Interactive filters and breakdown filters. We now have unified filters. And for customers who have spent much time in the previous dashboards working with filters in the core legacy dashboard, this is one of the biggest benefits is a filter is a filter is a filter. I can create this, I can set up the same filter to apply to reports, to apply to PA indicator widgets, whatever the data is on the screen, the same filter can be configured to work with all those different objects. Instead of responsive dashboards, we now have a new tool called the inline dashboard editor, which is the standard way of creating dashboards. And the one I've seen come up a lot is a misconception that standard report or scheduled reports are going away. They are not. What we're calling them is scheduled exports. And again, the reason we're doing that is because it really isn't going to matter whether the type of export or the type of report that you're sending, whether it's actual report, like you're used to saying, or it's just a widget from a PA indicator or whatever. They're all just scheduled exports. Okay, let's see. Do the quick stop. Let's do a quick stop for questions to see if there's anything that we might cover going on
Looks
here
like
then.
you answered Neil's question. Julian had a question about, do you have any OCM materials to help users with the shift from the classic to the new look and feel?
Yes, we do have some, and that is really an ongoing work in progress. So yes, there is some that exists already, and I'll make reference to some of that later in this deck. So
And
so that. Mhm.
Isla, have we answered your question about the changes to your current reports? I think Dan expressed that.
Yeah, I'm going to be talking about one of the next things we'll be talking about is the migration. But I wanted you just to get familiar with the concept because there is also kind of a misconception that I have to do a migration of my existing legacy content before I can even start using the new UI. And that is absolutely not true. As a matter of fact, one of the changes that we made in the last month to our planning is at no point are we ever going to force a migration from the old dashboard content into the new world. We are going to eventually stop supporting the old content. So, for example, as of Australia, the A release, you won't be able to create new dashboards in the old UI. Anything new you'll need to create in the new in the platform analytics experience. But you still have access to the old stuff. If you still run reports, you can still have scheduled exports. All that stuff will still work. You choose when you want to migrate. So let's go ahead on here. So some of the differences you'll see, there were core UI dashboards was a very it was developed very specifically just for our reporting environment. It didn't have any correlation. The back end of it, the way you actually designed it, the way you developed it, had no resemblance to how you developed on the rest of the platform. So if you had a developer who was used to creating forms or anything, any way they created objects, it was completely different experience if they were working in PA. That is now changing. So within the platform analytics dashboards, we are utilizing the same UI builder, which again, for those who are familiar with it, UI builder is the interface where developers and other high-end power users can create their own screens, their own visualizations within the platform. So platform analytics just leverages that same concept. It just has more objects that are specific to the reporting and dashboard world. So it's use the same development platform, and it also is designed just to look nicer. They look nicer. The colors pop more. It's a more modern look and feel that you'll see with it. So let's go ahead on. Another big set of questions that comes up is when am I gonna have to do different stuff? So, and this gives the different what's happening within the different releases. So Washington, which hopefully everybody is on Washington or up by now, hopefully. This is where you have started to have the option to opt in to the migration. Platform analytics has existed since Tokyo, this new UI. Starting with Washington, we gave you the option to migrate your existing content into the new UI. For Xanadu and Yokohama, any upgrading customers had the option again to migrate to Platform Analytics, their existing content, but you could also just use the new stuff too simultaneously. You could use it concurrently. Net new customers starting with Xanadu start fresh with Platform Analytics only. So a brand new Z-booted, you the term, a brand new instance will only see Platform Analytics experience. You won't get the old reporting experience if you are brand new. Starting with Zurich, upgrading customers still can opt in, so you can choose to migrate. One of the big things you'll see is that starting with Zurich, dashboard owners can choose to migrate their own dashboards. Prior to the Z release coming up later this year, it was only an admin that could trigger the migration experience, and it would just migrate everything. Starting with Zurich, and let's say that I am the owner for all of the HR dashboards. I could then choose when I want to migrate just the HR dashboards into the new experience. So that's what this means here. That's something and a lot of other functionalities that change, but that's one of the biggest migration changes. And again, net new customers, brand new customers start fresh. Australia is where things really start to change more significantly. So on upgrade, core UI or the legacy analytics can still be viewed. You can still view, you can still run reports. It's all still real time, but users can't create their own new dashboards. What that means as of Australia. So this time next year, and that's when that new release. So whenever you release to Australia, that's what the expectation would be. So all creating of new content is in the platform analytics experience. The primary reason for that is all new development really since Tokyo has been in platform analytics experience. Any new functionality, any new things you'll see in the future, anything new that's going to leverage the new Raptor DB technology. You might have heard the term workflow data fabric or data fabric in general. All of the functionality that leverages those back-end tools will require you to be working in platform analytics, any of the analytics based. For example, Raptor DB Pro will allow you to go beyond the old two breakdowns being applied to a PA indicator at the same time. So if I have an indicator on how many incidents were closed last month, I could filter by assignment group, I could filter by priority, but I couldn't add in filtering by, let's say, business service in addition to those other two. The Raptor DB Pro will allow you to add on functionality that will allow you to leverage going beyond that. That's all, but that all still also assumes you're working with platform analytics. So, okay. Thank
We
you.
have a
That's
couple
all I'll
questions that have
say.
come in. I
Okay.
think
Yeah. Okay.
before the
Let's.
next slide. So Niels,
Yeah.
will the report underscore view ACLs work the same with PAE?
Yes, it is the same. It's just yep, that's a really good question. The report view ACLs, you probably, if you're an admin on your system or a reporting admin, you probably had a massive headache a couple of releases ago. It's been several releases now, so most of everybody should have addressed all report view ACLs by this point. If you haven't, worked with support to do so. What that was an issue where some customers were not able to see the right reports, even though you might have access to the data in the back end. Maybe you didn't see a report that for that table. Let's say I'm reporting on the incident table. Maybe you weren't able to see that report, or vice versa. Maybe somebody who really wasn't supposed to see that particular report might accidentally have been able to see it just because of the way. So the report viewing ACLs were not linked together with the data table ACLs. They were for the most part for like a 90% level, but there were some gaps. That fixed all that. Will it still be allowed that any user can create a dashboard as it was previously? Yeah, the default is yes. Again, you can lock that down. Anyone can create a dashboard. The difference will be what data sources they have. And I think Rafael's going to do a demo of platform analytics in a little bit here. We'll show you the difference when I say the difference is for the different users is the data sources. When I create a new widget, when I create a new item, a new component on my dashboard page, one of the first things it's going to ask me is what is the data source you want to use? And so what data sources are available for the user to choose will depend upon their permissions, will depend on more upon those roles. So everybody will by default be able to see tables, whether you're able to see indicators, whether you're able to see user experience analytics data, whether you're able to see metric-based data, or even going forward, whether you're able to see workflow data, fabric data, and all that. That will all be different data sources you can choose from. So we'll get to that. So it's a really
And
good
we have
question.
one more question too from Andre. Is there a way to create a PAE for C-level / leadership to view? The UI looks a bit dated and hard to navigate for anyone above a
Mhm.
director level.
Right. The um that is actually undergoing kind of a revamp. Our own internal analytics team, so not my development team, developed this beautiful set of C-suite dashboards that was actually using all the new technology. That was using UI Builder, using platform analytics. It was all using that, but was highly customized development. We are in the process right now of moving that experience from our internal analytics team. We're partnering with them to take over and really integrate the CXO dashboard experience into kind of the standard environment. So yes, it'll still keep working. The existing stuff will absolutely keep working because it is using all the new technology. The CXO dashboards have all been doing that. So yeah, hopefully that helps. But
All right, we're going to talk a little, move on to migration, and then I think we'll
Mhm.
to the
Yep,
question
because I'm almost done. So let's go ahead and move along. I just want to mention this is more of I've mentioned it a couple of times. There is a migration center. A couple of these next slides I don't want to dwell on, but I just want you to be aware of the resources. Bunch of people have asked about having these slides available. Yes, these will be available. So this is more of a resource for you after the fact. But we do have a migration center that will help you move your content when you are ready to move your content from the core UI environment to the platform analytics environment. So I just want to make note of that. And then the next couple of screens just show you a little bit about what that will look like. So I can move everything. I can try little bits at a time and things of that sort. So, and we can just go move through those. What I will do is maybe as we do Q&A at the end, if there's any specific questions about that, we can talk about that. But I don't want to take up extra time for the moment about the migration experience. Mainly that it's there, and as each release comes along, it's getting better and better. There's more and more content that is supported. So,
Yeah,
all right.
and Jermaine just had a question: is it possible to upload a dashboard from legacy to the new PA?
That's what the migration does. It doesn't there's no like direct upload because the technologies are entirely different. So what's actually going on in the background with this migration is we actually have background scripts that are running that map all of the content from your old dashboard. Let's say you have a particular breakdown widget. It's taking all the data from that and just converting it into its like for like content in the new environment. So if you can run the migration on just that one dashboard if you want to. There was the try it option in the last screen, in the last screenshot. You don't necessarily have to migrate everything. There's some pros and cons to that, and I just published a best practices guide on the migration that we might make quick reference to just got published yesterday, so hot off the presses. So that's good. It's a good question. So
And
I want to
then
make sure we got time for everything else. So
I use this opportunity as well to review the current reporting, and probably migrating is one alternative, but rethinking about like review what we have and rebuild using technology instead of migrating. Just create another one from scratch, because the mistakes that you did in the past, you're not going to do in the future. So you can just try to explore the new tool, and I think migrating is an alternative, but considering to review what you have and recreate from scratch is another one.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Don't just migrate everything for the sake of migrating.
yes.
Yeah. All right. So Rafael's going to give us a brief demo here on the platform analytics side.
So yeah, here I click on all, select platform analytics. So during this demo, what I'm going to do is I will create a dashboard and with 2 tabs and 2 reports, aka data visualizations. So this is the home page for the platform analytics. I'm going, as you can see, I don't have any dashboard or reports. You have here the options to go inline editor and technical. The inline gives you the responsive dashboard. On the technical, you need to build everything from scratch. So if my advice is use the inline editor for now, and when you become like a professional, and even myself, I sometimes I prefer to go inline, because rebuilding all the functionalities from scratch sometimes takes longer than just to create and publish. So this is the first dashboard. As you can see, next step, I'm going to add an element. Okay. New visualization, single score. Okay, you have multiple types here, as you can see. Now, the idea is to select where I'm going to get the data. What is my data source? Okay. So I'm going to create here, select incident, because it's the only table that is singular. And you can use predefined conditions as well. Okay, they are already there. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. So you don't need to use the conditions. You can just use the predefined conditions, and you are good to go. As you can see, the metric is all starts with count. So here I type the title of the data visualization. Okay. I want to show as well when was last time it was updated, and I want to change the color, because this is open instance. I want this to be green. So I'm going to the color, single color, and green. Here we go. It's as simple as this one. So now this is going to be my incident tab. I want to create a problem tab. Okay. And I will create another report or data visualization. I will type an header. I will select the data source. It's going to be problem table. You can select as well predefined conditions if you want. You have a few of them already available. Okay. I'm going to type the title. Okay. And if you type a description, it's going to display like a mini icon next to the dots, so you can click and view the description. So as you can see, this is the dashboard, fully functional. You have incidents and problems in one screen.
Excellent. All right. We're going to run another poll here, and then we will go into some Q&A. I see there's a lot of questions coming in, but first let's see if you all are feeling any more confident now, having watched the webinar, attended here. So far, nobody in the no confidence bucket this time, which is good. So hopefully we've moved some of those people up to the low confidence level, minimally, maybe a little further. I'll give it a couple more moments here to let everybody get a chance to fill in. So it looks like we're still around average confidence level. I'll share the results here real quick. But I think we've moved a few more into the above.
All right. Good
Yeah.
result.
So that's good.
You did a great job doing this webinar.
Yes. And just so if you want to like share with some of your colleagues what you've learned today, to encourage them to watch the webinar or grab the deck, we just like to have a little recap slide here so you can grab a quick screenshot if you'd like. And you know, this is just kind of like your overview of what we covered today at a glance. And then we'll move into the Q&A here. So
You'll have a few questions, Brita.
yeah.
So, for example, Niels, I don't think that you can restrict access to the technical editor, but probably I would recommend you to submit an idea. So you go to the support servicenow.com, just raise this as an idea. Probably they can create a rule and have like permissions. If you have the permissions, the menu is going to get displayed. If not, they don't get displayed. But so far, you have the inline and technical editor. It's available for everyone.
That is, I just want to say that is a specific role. There are some new roles introduced with platform analytics experience. So, and I'll try to get a link to that. But yeah, so yeah, you can actually limit who has access to the technical editor. I'll just put that. I'll find the link to that specifically and put that in the chat.
Perfect.
Create your
yeah.
own quick find conditions. Yes, Marcus, you can create your own quick find conditions. And I don't think that we have any more.
Yeah. When you said quick find, I know we also mentioned about kind of predefined.
Predefined conditions, yeah.
So what I would say is, yeah, so yes, what that is in the old world, in the core UI world, that was, I think you could create like a data source or a report source. That is where you'll see that is when you create your data source, you'll get an option to say, do you want to use a predefined data source? So you might select like the incident table, and then it'll show me all of the predefined data sources from the incident table on the screen for you to choose from. So yeah, good question.
Yeah, and then Jerry has one. Do you need permissions to create PAEs?
But the default is that just like in the classic or core UI, any user can create a dashboard. The difference is whether they can share that dashboard with other people, because there you need to have a certain role levels for that, and whether you can add additional, whether you can create your visualizations on anything other than just a standard table. So everyone can say I can create a report or a data visualization based on the incident table, based on the HR case table. If you have permission to the HR case data, you can create a report on that. Where you are limited, and this is where you need higher level roles, is when we're talking about like being able to create a chart that is based upon PA indicator data or other more advanced data sources. So that's the limitation. Some customers do limit the ability to create dashboards on their own, but by default, everybody can.
All right, so we have a few more minutes here, folks. If you have questions, please feel free to throw them into the Q&A. Or I think I just saw a hand raised. Did somebody want to ask a question live?
Actually, the opposite then. So back all day, the classic reporting, in order to use the classic reporting, you need to have the rule. But now we have the ability to, well, everyone can access to the dashboard and can create their own dashboard, right?
Yeah, and that was true in Core UI as well. It's just a lot of customers had some legacy roles and some legacy rules in place that did limit that. But the default since I want to say it was at least Utah. I want to say earlier than that, is that anybody could create a dashboard. It's more limited to what you could put on that dashboard and how much you were able to share it. How much you're able to share. Like if I'm just a basic user, I can only create a dashboard that I can view. And that was the default previous to platform analytics experience. Platform analytics experience does the same thing. I can still create a dashboard that I can view if I'm just a regular logged in user. But I can't create if I'm just a regular logged in user. I can't create a dashboard that includes user experience analytics data that includes data from a indicator trending data. I can't do that. Yeah.
All right, Jermaine had another question here. I'm new to reporting and I've created around 26 reports and 9 dashboards. How can I get a certification for reporting, something I can actually do alongside my day job?
Sure. There are in Now Learning, there are certifications for, it's really around kind of the whole platform analytics world. It's really heavily focused on performance analytics, but reporting is part of the necessary requirement for it. So there are different levels of certification in Now Learning. So it's nowlearning.servicenow.com, or is it just nowlearning.com? I can't ever remember, but off
Or
the
you
top,
can
but
go
Now
to
Learning,
servicenow.com and you can navigate from there with a
yeah,
unique navigation. Yeah, and maybe since you've
into
mentioned
learning. Yeah.
performance analytics, nobody's asked this question, but I'm going to ask it for everybody. It's can you kind of explain what the deal is around performance analytics? Because there's some that you get with certain packages and some that you have to pay for.
Correct. Performance analytics, and by this I mean that performance analytics as it was defined in Core UI and performance analytics as a subset of platform analytics. What I'm saying here applies to both scenarios. Each of the different workflow applications, the teams that develop HR, the team that develop ITOM, the teams that develop, they provide their own out-of-the-box dashboard and report content. It's up to them to decide how much they want to give you as just a standard user, or whether there is a lot more content, but almost all of those application teams create a lot of content that is only available if you license the Pro version. So if ITSM Pro for your company, if I want HR Service Delivery Pro, if I want ITOM Pro, those come with a bunch of predefined dashboards that can leverage all the advanced functionality. What the Pro also does is allows you to create your own performance analytics based data. The non-pro version of HR, non-pro version of ITSM, that means you cannot create your own performance analytics content. So as well. So
I'm going to let Eloise come off mute. She had a question.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hi.
Yeah. So I was going to ask, from a kind of governing perspective, when you're obviously building, say, platform analytics, you have a lot of different aspects that involve, so like breakdown, indicators, metrics. We're finding that out of the box functionality that's already built into the platform analytics, like the breakdowns and the metrics, when people are going in and creating their own, we're getting a lot of maybe duplicate metrics because people don't understand how to use it correctly, or duplicate breakdowns or indicators. How would you recommend we govern that or keep that under control?
So I'd like to hear because Rafael's got more of the real worlds. I tell you what I've talked about with customers, but because I know we have some things looking forward, but I want to, what do you think, Rafael? How would you answer that?
I have no idea. I would provide training, because there is no way we can prevent that to happen unless you just give less roles and limit to specific group of people, or just provide training, because that's sounds like they are doing that by mistake because they don't know exactly. They're doing it because they're not fully aware how the platform analytics works. So by providing training, we probably can at least attenuate a little bit the problem. That's probably my advice, or just provide less roles, because like there is no way we can prevent that to happen.
What I suggest is we do have a governance white paper, and I'll make sure that we add that to our resources. So it'll be on the presentation, the deck that you get, that talks a lot about governance recommended governance things to do. So, for example, one of the things we'd say is I would limit providing what we call the PA power user role to people who have requested it and have been reviewed by the like a PA admin group to say that, yep, you've shown that you can understand this. Even more so, another really common model I see is where the customers have worked really well for them is where they will develop kind of a network of PA gurus within the business. So like each of the different departments or each of the different business units might have one or two designated go-to people for PA. So instead of everybody just creating their own stuff, they might create their own stuff, but then it gets reviewed by their local area PA guru, that sort of thing. But the white papers can be really helpful as well. What I was going to say, going forward, we are working on tools that will, when I create a report or I create a data visualization with the exact same conditions, say I'm working on the incident table and I'm filtering by the exact same things, where it can pop up and tell you, hey, there's already these. Did you know there's already another report that has these exact same conditions on it? Do you want to use that one? That doesn't exist yet, but it is definitely on the roadmap.
I am really sorry. We are at the top of the hour,
Yeah.
so we need to wrap up. But I see Nils and Ramon have some additional questions, so we'll make sure that we publish a short blog or article with the recording and the deck later today, so that we can answer those questions for you, or if you want to reach out to any of us individually. So we thank you so much for coming. If you scan the QR code here, you can see what are the upcoming events that we have scheduled through May. And then we do have some additional resources here that you will get provided when you receive the deck. And then very last thing, right after this, you will receive a survey. And I know a lot of us have survey fatigue, but if you could just take a couple of moments to let us know how we're doing, what we could improve, and also what additional topics that you would like to see covered in the future, we would really appreciate that. So we thank you all so much for coming today and look forward to seeing you next week when we're going to be talking about ITOM. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.